Hi, this is Katrina Sargent, owner and creator of Devil Doll Custom Creations. Today we're going to be doing an ink flow epoxy tumbler over a black base. This is not my method. I first learned it from Wisdom G2 Creations, Celicia method. I will link her Facebook and her Facebook tutorial group in the descriptions. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. So here is my prepped tumbler. You're going to want to put it on a turner that you're able to get it back off as it's turning to give those storm looks. I will show you a way to do that without removing it from your turner if you have a single turner. I am just adding regular CCDIY Artist resin epoxy. You're going to want it fairly thick. The thicker it is, the more it's going to flow and move. You don't want it pooling at the bottom edge or the top lip, but you're going to want enough that it's going to move as it warms up. Once I have it fully applied, I then let it sit for a minute or two to kind of settle on the tumbler. And then once it's settled, you're going to add your inks on top of this black base. You really won't see them as you're dropping. I'm using Baja Blue from Pinata and Mermaid from Tim Holtz. I am also using Purple Passion from Tim Holtz, I believe. The magic doesn't come right now. Once you add the white Pinata ink is when things start popping, and it is so awesome. So I'm just kind of randomly placing dots and drips of one color at a time, and then I go in and add the next color. When the colors sometimes blend, they make a new color and it's beautiful, but you won't know that really until you add the white. In person, you can kind of see where the inks are if you look at your tumbler in the light. So I kind of just try to go in the places that I don't see any inks, for the most part. And then once you have a good amount of inks on your tumbler, you're then going to remove it from your turner. I know this is scary, but believe me, it makes the world of difference. Remove it from your turner, and then you're going to then add your white Pinata ink on the top area at an angle and kind of shift your tumbler a little bit so it gets a different direction. Turn it over and do the same on the bottom. Then you're going to add a few drops of white randomly in the middle section. This white is what makes the colors pop, and that gives the storm look on your tumbler. So then once you have some drops of white on your tumbler, then you're going to turn it upside down and let that epoxy start to move. You're going to see shifting a little bit on your epoxy. I add a little bit of heat. My shop is in a basement and it's fairly cold down there. If you're in a warm temperature or you warm your epoxy up before you add it to your tumbler, you won't need to do this step. Be careful not to overheat it because you can burn your epoxy. You can cause the inks to move too much and you just get like this swirling motion. You're going to want to keep turning your tumbler opposite ways, different directions. You can turn it sideways, you can turn it upside down, you can turn it at an angle. You're just going to want things to shift slightly in different ways than it would once you put it back on the turner. And then once I have it kind of shifting a little bit, I put it back on my turner to turn to see how the inks are moving, if I need to add a little bit more heat, if I want to keep it turning in a certain place. This is where the storms come in. So that white is then going to flow with your warm epoxy and get into different colors of inks. It's going to move, it's going to shift, but you probably don't want to add as much heat as I'm adding until you get used to how the inks rotate, because I have messed up plenty of tumblers with adding too much heat. If you find you have a lot of blank spots, go ahead and add tiny little drops of your white, and hopefully it hits some color and add some color there. I do a second layer when I don't have a prominent color. So here I didn't put enough purple in, so I actually do a second layer like this with some more purple. So you can add some more colors on the next layer if you're not 100% happy. You see how this is starting to turn like in a circular motion? That's what I don't want. So you can change your rotation of your turner if you can. Also, I take it off my turner as soon as I start seeing that movement, and then turn it different directions to get that movement other places than just circular around the tumbler. I also tip it and then I shake it. It kind of gives more of a ripple look. If you have a lot of epoxy and you're turning it upside down and you start getting like a pool on the bottom, go ahead and tap that off. You can wipe a finger across it. You can do plenty of things to it if it starts to pull on the bottom edge, the top edge, things like that. There's enough epoxy on your tumbler to fill that in as it turns. This is why fast set epoxies are not good for this, because they set up too fast. You want things to turn. You want that time to mess around and get it how you want it to look before your epoxy sets. Fast sets don't give you that option. They just set up really fast and you won't get to mess around with it. So here I am just kind of going around and adding a little bit more color. I had a lot of Baja blue showing and I wanted more of my teal and my purple, so I just kind of randomly put a little bit of the color into the section I'm wanting to bring color into. However, your alcohol ink will change the white slightly, and you can't keep adding color into the white. You probably can do it like I just did this one time and then let your epoxy cure and then do another layer on top. If you try to force it too much on one layer, sometimes you can kind of mess up the look of the storms. And then again, you see this how it's starting to rotate around the tumbler. Take it off, rotate it, make those storms shift to a different place than it would ever get with just turning. I like to tip mine upside down completely. I like to tip it at an angle, so you're getting the inks to move differently. You will never be able to create the exact same tumbler. Again, everyone is completely unique. It's just the way those inks move and shift on the tumbler. So you have to babysit it a little while just to make sure nothing's going to keep turning for the first hour probably, but then you're going to just let it turn. I will come back around and I'll have my turner go the opposite way, probably about every 30 minutes to an hour. So I told you I would show you another way if you don't want to remove it from your turner. If you have a single cup turner, you can just pick the entire turner up and get the shift the same style. You won't get the exact, but you can still do different angles on the turner as it spins. So I am adding my next layer of epoxy. I have actually added Cullen from Featherbear Bling. It's an ultra fine holographic glitter just to add some sparkle on this layer. So this one I am focusing on the purple only. So I'm going to do it slightly different. I'm going to add my drop of white and then immediately add a purple drop onto the white. This is going to let me solely focus on that color only. I will warn you, don't get too carried away adding too much inks on this layer. It will change the look of the colors underneath it. If a darker color like this purple or an indigo, something a really dark blue, will change the shade that's underneath it. You'll get a lot of dark patches. So again, I'm just adding a little bit of heat to get my epoxy to move. I'm trying to create those storms. I take it off and I shift it exactly how I did the first layer. I just didn't show it in the video to keep time down. So I do have a little bit of a pool on the bottom, so I just take my gloved hand and I remove some of that extra. Don't forget your bottoms. So your bottoms will look just as nice as the rest of the tumbler if you just add a couple drops as you go. You will need to add one coat or more if you're doing a decal of epoxy on top of this to get it completely smooth. I just can't get over this method, how everything flows together and it looks so gorgeous. Please go find her on her Facebook business page or tutorial page. It's amazing, you won't regret it. Please like, share, subscribe. It means the world to me. If you have any comments or questions or concerns, please write them in the comments. I do write back. And thank you again for everyone's continued support and encouragement.